It's time now for the Sue Ellen Sanders Show, bringing you events and other information of things that are going on across the Treasure Coast every weekend right here. See the schedule at WPSL.com. And now, here's Sue Ellen Sanders.
Welcome to the Sue Ellen Sanders Show. Now, Cliff and I were just talking about this. There was a little glitch with our audio on our usual recording. So instead of using the YouTube that we usually do, the equipment that we usually do, we're going straight to audio, like old-fashioned radio talk show audio.
But we can enhance it later. We can maybe put still pictures in just to create a video to keep your archives up.
Well, you know what? But not only that, we'll put still pictures, but expect this show to be a little bit more descriptive about things, because if you can't see us, then we can tell you anything we want, really.
Yeah.
My guest today is Cathie Mouring, and she is the executive director for Graceway Village.
They're not going to steer you in the wrong direction, folks. They'll be all right.
I know. Well, we're both honest, straight
shooters.
Shooters, yes. So straight worthy. That's not the word.
Might not want to use the word shooters, but
isn't it funny how all of our vocabulary has had to change? Things that 10 years ago were not, implying something that was inappropriate now are. And I find that we're going to talk about Graceway, but heck, we have 53 minutes. So I let me take an opportunity to just go off on a little tangent now. A lot of us are working from home. We're still working. We're still full-time. And, my full-time job is with the Early Learning Coalition. So we have a lot of things that are continuing to go on. And since most of my stuff is communications related, I can still do a lot of that at home. So my command station is set up in the formal dining room. And I brought in my big monitor from the office, and I have everything all set up. And one of the dogs likes to sit at my feet and watch me. And my husband, who works for the school district, is like 3 rooms away in the breakfast nook. And yet when he doesn't, sometimes he goes into the office just because he doesn't like me making fun of his conversations, because he's one of those guys with a booming voice, no matter whether he's on the phone or where you're there in person. And so I hear him on his Zoom conferences and his other virtual meetings, and he's got a whole routine, literally a routine, Cathie. He has all the hats that he's ever owned in his life sitting on the breakfast nook table next to him, and he switches hats, and he changes his Zoom background, his or whatever background, his virtual background. But what I've also noticed is, we're people of a certain age, and his vocabulary is kind of old-fashioned, and sometimes he says things, and I say to him later, I can't believe you said that in a business meeting. But nothing inappropriate, but just our vocabulary. The point that I was making is our vocabulary is changing. And as Cathie said when she came into the room, we were both wearing our masks, and then we decided to sit 6 feet apart. Of course, you can hear us better without the mask on. And, as far as you're just listening to the audio. So, okay, we have masks on. Anyhow, I forget exactly where I was going with that. Oh, we were talking about how we're going to refer to life now as before COVID and after COVID, because everything has changed. Before March, when you ran into somebody you knew, you hugged them or you shook their hands or you patted them on the back. And I don't think that there's a time that I've seen Cathie at an event where I haven't hugged her. And it was very difficult to not reach out and want to touch her in some way. And, it's probably
I experience that all the time.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, but even when the danger of the disease is immediate, the immediate danger is past, I think we're still going to enter into a time where we're not as touchy-feely. We don't shake hands automatically. We don't hug automatically. Maybe we don't even go to as many crowded situations.
I agree.
And the whole idea of what we've been used to will be kind of changing. So, that being said, we're going to move into talking about Graceway Village. And just like with what I said about pre-COVID and post-COVID, we're kind of going to talk about Graceway Village in those terms too.
That's right.
Because there are things that you are doing during COVID. There were things that you had planned pre-COVID, and there are things that you have planned post. And there's a lot of things that we have all put, especially nonprofit associations, we've put this stuff on the back burner for right now, because the important things are feeding people, making sure people are healthy, making sure people have access to those major things that you have to survive, which are, shelter and food, and what's Maslow's hierarchy? Do you remember that? Maslow's,
yes.
Of course you do.
Right,
yes, okay. So anyhow, I know it's basically 5 things. I think it's 5 things, because I'm pulling from like college psychology classes were quite a while ago. But at any rate, Maslow said that once these 5 needs, or maybe there were 7, I don't know, were met, then you could go on to self-actualization, and then you could go on and move on to making yourself better and making your life better,
right.
And the self-improvement. But to begin with, you needed those things. And I know shelter and food were the big thing, and family around you, that was actually part of it too. I'll have to look it up once we start chatting, but that's what Graceway has spent a lot of time over the last
11 years
doing in general for people. But the need has never been more critical than now. So let's talk a little bit about that.
You want to talk about the needs right now?
Well, we can talk.
And that's fine, because that's what's on my mind.
That's what's on your mind. Let's go ahead and get that part done and talk about and what your needs are, what Graceway's doing for the community, and the difference that you're making, and then we'll kind of segue more into in general
see where it goes.
11 years, that's a long time.
It's a long time.
I can't believe it's been 11 years.
You've been along for 11 years.
I have been along
You have.
Since the planning stages.
Wonderful.
And it's so exciting to see what's come to fruition. But it's even more exciting to see what's to come.
Right. And we've been really fortunate that we've been able to enlarge our programs and offer more and reach more, and that's so great. What I count as the greatest privilege, one of the 2 programs, they're both basic needs, emergency need programs. One was a food kitchen, and then the other one is clothing for children and teens in crisis. So,
clothing! I bet that was one of
I bet it was
Maslow's.
Especially when you look at the modern day times, where they have to have appropriate dress code to be able to even go to school. And when you have low income or poverty, you often aren't able to meet that requirement, so the children are truant. And so this is definitely one of those emergency needs. With the advent of COVID, when it hit, we saw it happening, and so we had to close the boutique because it was not appropriately set up in any way that we could have social distancing at all. So we did close it, absolutely, and we hate that part. But what we did keep open, and we keep reminding the different referring agencies that any social worker out there, if there's an emergency that comes before them, they can contact us and tell us the child's sex and sizes, and we will put together an entire package for them. And we are getting anywhere from 10 to 15 of those calls a week for children, which is wonderful that we can still in the midst of COVID, meet the immediate needs for clothing. Without having to worry about social distancing. Because again, mostly our operations manager's doing it. She's in the office by herself, and she'll go and she'll get 14 to 18 items, put the outfits
And
together, and package it up, and then she arranges with the caseworker.
So even though the boutique itself
Yes.
is not open for business, she's still supplying the need for those kids. So that hasn't
Yes.
stopped at all.
It hasn't
I
stopped,
didn't
but the
know
individual,
that.
right? The
Yeah.
individuals themselves can't come. So
Right.
it's got to be a social worker, guidance counselor, whatnot. So at least we're, and that's where we really specialized up until 2 years ago when we
Right.
got another position that's out in the community. So there's more and more independent parents coming and grandparents.
And so there's enough outfits that there's going to be something that the kids will
Absolutely.
like too. And also, and you and I have talked about this on the show before, but what the type of outfits they have with Hope's Closet, it's not like your typical giveaway type things. That they're really nice clothes. And if you have preteens or teenagers, you know how fast they grow, or little kids. You get a nice shirt, a nice outfit for a special occasion, and then a month later you look and you say, hey, did we buy those pants that short? So those clothes are the things that, and of course Graceway takes all donations.
Yes.
But then you weed through them, and then some of them go elsewhere, and then you keep
We
the
keep
creme.
only what we would
Yeah.
put on our children or grandchildren.
I love
mean,
that.
Bottom
Yes,
line. I'm
yeah.
a grandma, and I'm a little bit picky. And if I wouldn't put it on my granddaughter or grandson, we're not going to keep it.
Okay.
They've always had such a focus on respecting the individual from where they're at right now and giving them an opportunity to just be in a normal, attractive store and shop just as if. I mean, it's just been such a focus, the whole being of the individuals that are in there.
And Hope's Closet is the merchandise in it is still available. It's just being accessed a different way during this
It's gotta come through a
temporary
social
time.
worker.
So through a social worker to your person in the store, your program
Right.
manager. But where you've really taken things to a different level is with the feeding.
And it was so easy to do. It's natural. I mean, we have a food kitchen. We've run a food kitchen for 11 years, twice a week. And we just went immediately into now we're doing 5 nights a week of a hot, fresh meal. We have a great partnership now with a Flavored Fork. Matt, did you hear about Flavored Fork?
No. Tell me
Flavored
about
Fork
this.
Catering. The owner is Matt.
I don't remember his last name.
I cannot
Piscaselli.
pronounce it.
I think it's
You're doing better than me.
I
And so
think
Matt,
that's
I hope you hear this and forgive me.
because his child went to St. Andrews when I was
Okay, yes,
teaching there,
yes.
and so he was giving lessons, cooking lessons, culinary lessons. I
sounds
guess.
just like him.
Yes,
He's
yeah, to the
everywhere.
kids, in an after-school program. So I met him, and also he catered their Thanksgiving feast one year when I was there.
I think he's still very
Oh
involved with.
my goodness!
He is our cook now. He is running Matthew's Cafe now.
Oh, you are so
Isn't that
blessed.
we're
did
very
not know
excited.
about this new partnership.
Yeah, this just happened in the midst of all this, because I'll be honest, the first 3 weeks of doing this, I mean, we had to turn on a dime. Every day we might have to revamp it all of a sudden. 2 or 3 times, the operations manager, Renee Marconi, and I, we were real busy we started laughing at each other when the phone would ring again because the community, really, they have jumped in. They've jumped in wonderfully, and I know that you're aware of this. And you won't know until sometimes 3 hours before a dinner that someone's bringing 5 big, huge casserole things for you for dinner. And so then you have to, well, what were we planning? Well, no, we're going to save that for tomorrow.
Right.
And just completely. So it was really hard the first couple weeks getting everything in gear, we're following the best practices for both safety, for all the volunteers. For all the
No,
volunteers.
you're not too loud. Your hands are.
Oh, my hands.
Yeah, remember
I know
we're
it's so
just
hard.
audio, so everybody is concentrating on our voices. So
my hands. I'm
yes.
so sorry. I'm sitting on them now. You can picture that. But and we had to
She's
really get
so
everyone used
excited about
what we're doing.
having. Yeah. She's talking with her whole body.
I tend to do that anyway. But it was hard for everyone to make the adjustments to the mask and the gloves and the social distancing and getting a structure set up so that as they came through to pick up a meal in their car, that they could see us smiling in our eyes, but they never got close to us. We don't get close to them.
Yeah.
We put their food items on a table. They have to get out and get it themselves. We just, but it's been great fun to do it and then to hear the stories. You know the stories, the people. You see it with your work.
Yeah.
You've seen it with all your different jobs. And it makes you leave going, I'm so glad I did this. I am so glad I did this.
And I know you're looking for volunteers right now.
Yeah.
And I keep looking at your request for volunteers. And honestly, I am of a certain age and I have a background with asthma. So I'm a little nervous about being out and about. I've really avoided being out and about. Occasionally, I go to the grocery store and I feel like I'm in another world just because there's some people that are so respectful of that distancing.
Yes.
And there's other people who are paying no attention at all.
Yes.
So I am glad that you're following all the rules, and I'm happy to hear that your volunteer situation is such that even somebody like me who's really kind of a little afraid, I don't know, cautious,
Right.
about the public contact can be safe too. So other than Monday and Friday, every other night you offer this drive-through meal service.
Yes, we do.
Let's talk about how that works and the times that you cover. It's 4 to 6. Is that
It's only from 5 to 6.
5
it's
to
only
6?
1 hour.
Okay.
And we serve about 100. The average, I just did a report for the Community Foundation, and we're averaging 100 people a day that's coming through. And we do follow one of the best practices, and that is they need to have everybody in the car, or we need to know them.
Right.
To know that there's other people in order to protect the integrity of the donations.
Right,
and
because
the
you don't want
funders.
them picking up the food and then reselling it. And how awful is that? There have been people that are doing that.
Yes.
Not necessarily with your food, but I saw the Palm Beach County School District had to start asking for school ID numbers because people were picking up the foods and then reselling them.
Yeah.
So,
They just have a whole different. It's a whole different culture and self-survival and rationalization that I
yeah,
can't even comprehend, and certainly cannot condone.
So, but those 100 people, and a lot of them because some of them are your regulars.
Quite a few.
So out of those 100, are a lot of them the same people that are coming through every night? Or
Pretty much. I would
yeah.
say 60 to 80%
Are the people,
are regulars.
yeah.
We're seeing an increase, certainly, as time goes on, and we're at the very end of a month, and that's always a hard time for people, too. The funding is a little bit lower. But one of the other things we've started, which I think is so exciting, and we're adding to it this coming week. And but we are partnering with Ignite. Are you familiar with Ignite? It was part of the my mind just went blank. Restoring the Village Initiative.
Yes, okay.
Right. They work
yes.
with teenagers and their
Right,
families.
I knew it was a youth organization. Okay.
They come Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, and they pick up a large amount of meals, and they deliver it to the different families because they're not able to, for one reason or another, come and get the meals. But
well,
these kids
some
need
families
it.
don't have a car.
That's right.
Yeah.
Plus, or the money for the gas
Yes,
for the car.
yes.
We have to really look at the full picture. So we're doing that, and then we have another individual whom we know very, very well. And she's actually on staff now, Wendy. She knows of 2 different areas in North Fort Pierce where the individuals have no vehicles. They're not necessarily homeless, but they're not
Able to
they're
get
just
the
not
food.
able to
Yeah,
come in any
yeah.
way. So she picks up about the same amount of meals as Ignite does. And then what we are starting this Saturday is we're going to start a separate distribution site the same time. But right now it's Saturday, unless we get more volunteers. Then we'll do it. We want to do it 5 nights a week at the Seminole Trailer Park on Orange Avenue and Engle Road.
Oh,
There's 75.
wow,
There's
yes.
75 trailers in there, and the need is certainly great.
Yeah.
So we're so excited about.
So they'll just be able to walk up and get their
Yes.
food. And again, my understanding is that you're going to have the table set out and you'll have the food up there, and then they come and they pick up their food.
Yes, absolutely. So we're very excited. We've really wanted to reach that community anyway, and to have COVID come and give us an opportunity. It's taken a couple weeks to get ourselves together so we can do it accurately and safely for everybody. But we were just laying it out yesterday, and we're so excited about Saturday.
God bless you. I have to say that you are the first person that I have heard use that phrase, COVID gave us the opportunity.
And that's a positive to you.
And that is a positive thing. And yeah, I see that COVID-19 has given us a lot of different opportunities to reconnect with our family, maybe to learn a new skill, maybe to reevaluate, the job that we have, the things that are important to us, the people that we hang out with, their importance to us, the groups that we're part of. So I love the way that you flip that around, and it's devastating for the families of people who have suffered and those who have died. But I'm glad to hear somebody reference to the fact that there could be some good that comes from it. So you now are be able to reach these people in the Seminole Trailer Park.
We were thinking of bringing 60 meals, and there was a young lady who showed up as we were talking, and she lives in there, and she's very outgoing, and I love that personality trait. But we were sharing with her what we're doing as of Saturday, and she got very excited, and she goes, "Oh, you send me the flyer, and I will go to every single trailer and make sure they have the flyer so they know about it." And we said, "Well, we're thinking of bringing 60. What do you think?" And she goes, "Oh, no, you're going to need more than that," which is good. This is so good, and we're close enough to it that we've already talked with Matt, the cook, and as far as, please be ready to have another 50. If we need to give you a call,
Yes.
you'll be able to throw it together and bring it to us, because it's 5 minutes away.
So is it possible that, I know you're looking for volunteers to be able to bring the meals there, more days during the week, but is it possible that you might be able to get volunteers from the trailer park itself? Or or did they have their hands full?
They have their hands full, and we have very high expectations of excellence.
And
in
you
every
want your
way.
volunteers.
And so we want to
yeah.
get to know them
Okay.
well, and everything else with.
And then there might be somebody that you
Absolutely.
identify. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, sign me up. I'll be part of this.
If you can bring a girlfriend, it's always more fun to
Yes.
work with somebody.
Yes.
So if you want to get your feelers out there and see
Yeah.
if somebody else wants to.
I've got
and-
my neighbor in mind.
Okay,
I'll
that'd be wonderful. It
drag
means
her
one more
along.
day we can be
Yeah.
at the Seminole Trailer Park,
Yeah,
and that's
yeah.
great.
Awesome.
We only run with 4 volunteers at
So you
Matthew's
could-
Cafe
yeah.
itself. We have it so systematically done. I mean, we cook the meals on site, and so Matt does phenomenal food. And hi.
I can't read your lips,
You want
Cliff.
me to slide over a little teeny bit?
Oh, you have the video
I think
working?
he's got it going.
Oh,
Okay,
yeah.
that's
Well, we're
really
going to
good.
jump right in with the video. So,
Yeah.
oh, no. So we can't tell you that Cathie and I are both 30 years old and
Could try.
bombshells. Because now you know.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
We're bombshells to our husband, though.
We
Husbands.
are,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah. We don't have the same husband.
And they better think so, right?
And they ought to, absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
So I feel like we're more exposed now that, I kind of felt it was a little bit more intimate without the video, but
It was.
that's
but
okay.
It's okay.
Yeah, so
Well, now we can say the first part of the show
yes.
is more like traditional radio.
Yes.
The second half of the show is pretty much what we're evolving into, the new
Yeah.
media.
So let's talk about the food, because Chef Matt
Chef
is
Matt.
making the food, and
Yes.
it's got to be awesome. So
It is.
he's making a lot of food.
He is making a lot of food. And the other thing, and the way, I mean, we're choreographing a new dance is kind of how I look at it, because he still has his catering business. And if you know him, he has his hands involved in many things. In fact, he's doing the big, I don't know what it's called, and Matt would shoot me for not remembering it, I'm sure. But he and another caterer are organizing that. It's a thank you for the healthcare workers. At
Oh, yeah.
Tradition, the first
Yeah.
part of,
Yes.
he's one of the originators of
This
that,
is-
so he's busy with that
so
as well.
he's got his
Yeah.
fingers in a lot of
He
pies.
does, but he also has some staff. And
Yeah.
so the blessing of joining with us in partnership is allowing his staff to also maintain some work as
Yes,
well.
yeah.
And so we're actually learning several different people. So it won't always be Matt, but he runs a show, and
Yeah.
he's very gifted with that,
Yes.
and, which gives me, I can step back and not
Yeah.
have to worry. If I know that the person who's overseeing Matthew's Cafe is following all that our expectations
How ironic
are.
that it was already called Matthew's
Oh, I
Cafe,
hadn't caught
right?
that. I hadn't caught that. That is
You
perfect.
hadn't?
No, I had
Oh
not.
my goodness. So there's going to be people who are just discovering you now that are going to think, but of course it was named for a different Matthew.
It's true.
Yes, Matthew in the Bible, but God has a way of providing, doesn't he?
He really
He
confirmed
brought you your own
something right there,
Matthew.
absolutely.
Yes. So that's really awesome, and I'm really excited to hear it, and at the same time you're providing an opportunity for Chef Matt and his staff to do some work too. Do you have any issues with procuring the supplies for the foods? How do you do that?
He has a lot of connections himself. The food bank, my goodness, what our area, what our country would do without the food bank.
Yeah.
I cannot say enough about what they do. And I felt that way before COVID hit. So certainly we couldn't do it without them. We've had individuals show up, like I mentioned earlier. They'll just show up
With
and
food.
they'll have those
They-
big aluminum
Yeah.
banquet things, 5, 10 of them just show up. And these are just individuals. And then, of course, there's Kyle G's and the Boys and Girls Club. They certainly have partnered and been very generous with us as well. But those are starting to kind of go back a little bit, because they're what they're doing is changing
Right.
and whatnot. So, but Matt has his own connections, and so he's bringing in a lot too. I mean, Al's Family Farm, they'll bring in a bunch of vegetables, or those delicious oranges, things like that. So the community is still stepping up wonderfully. That it's not been a concern of ours at all. In fact, one of the things that each opportunity we've had to increase our outreach, we'll talk, and then one person, oh, there's no more room in this, or we can't do that, and the operations manager and I, we just say, no, we're doing it, and it's gonna work. And every single time it has, every single time. We just will not. You just can't let problems stop you.
No, you just
Not when you're talking about food.
no, because that is one of the most important things, and life is going on for all of us, and for some of us, even those of us who have jobs and have food on the table, food has become a higher priority. I wake up in the morning and think, what am I going to have for dinner? Only it's a different type of, not like I don't have the food for dinner, but just the creativity for dinner, food, because we don't have so many other things going on in our life, it's become something that we concentrate more on. And you are feeding at least 100 per day through the drive-through. And let's talk about the location of the drive-through too. For anyone who doesn't know, Graceway is located on Hartman Road, just north of Okeechobee
That's right.
Boulevard.
It's 1780 Hartman Road. It looks like a church. People think that it's a church.
Because it was a church.
It was a church,
Yeah.
yes. We're set way
Yes,
back.
yeah.
We've got some red signs we put on the road that says free meal, just bright red signs. We just want people to know that we're back there. And so when they drive back around, they register with an individual that's there taking their name, just first name, the things we need for our funders,
Mm-hmm.
you know, the different stats. Then they do a little U-turn, and then there's a table there with their food. And sometimes it's just meals. Often it's additional things, like a bag of donated produce. We get quite a bit of the donated produce. And then every Sunday we also provide a food pantry. So those who are on site will also get 1 to 2 bags of canned and other non-perishable items as well.
That's awesome.
It's really nice.
And then in addition, you're beginning the new outreach that's at the Seminole Trailer Park. And then you also have other outreach where you go into neighborhoods and deliver foods, and that's through Ignite. And
then an individual.
And then is that Wendy Dwyer?
No, it's not Wendy.
Oh.
She's up north now.
Oh, okay.
It's Wendy Ryant. She's
Okay.
on staff with us
Okay.
now, and so she knows those different places, and we know her very well. So
So
she
you know
follows our
that she's-
procedures
yeah,
well, and
yeah.
she's never by herself when she goes. That's one of my stickling things. She's just got to have a partner always.
That's
you know.
awesome.
We still also deliver meals to the homebound. You remember that?
Right.
Those are seniors and disabled living in
Yes.
public housing communities. We can't do it every week because it's been harder to get volunteers feeling safe from the germ, I think, more than anything, to go and deliver.
A lot of your volunteers are older,
They are.
and so they're a little bit more cautious about being
And I've
out
told
and
some no,
about.
they can't do it. And
Yes.
it's broken their heart. They
Yeah.
really want to do it, but I'm very protective, and I take this seriously, and it would devastate me.
If somebody
Yeah.
gets sick because they were
Yes.
helping, yeah, I can understand. Well, let's move into some of the programs that you're working on, because I know you've got an enormous project that's coming up that you have spearheaded, and I'm so excited about it because it was in the discussion and planning stages for quite a while, and just as you move forward into the capital campaign,
COVID hits.
COVID hits. So,
Yes.
but maybe it's giving you a little bit more time to fine tune the plans for. But you have a homeless. It's not a shelter. It's because it's a permanent pavilion. What are you calling it?
The Family Restorative Living Facility, and it's going to be for families that are homeless.
The Family Restorative Living Facility.
Right.
Okay.
Big name, isn't it?
It is a big
I
name.
know.
We're going to have to come up with a nickname for it.
We will. You think of it. You be sure and let me know.
Okay.
When they come in, once they're vetted and they're accepted into the program.
Bob. Sorry.
There you go. Got your mind going.
Okay.
The purpose of it is to help homeless families have a soft and safe place to land while they rebuild their life so they can become self-sufficient as well as healthy family units.
And
So-
be able to stay together as a family, because
Yes.
a lot of times people who are in between, and when you're referring to homeless, it's not always that textbook homeless person that you see pushing a cart. It's just people who just had something happen that threw them off. And unfortunately, with COVID-19, there's probably going to be a whole lot more people out there having that need. And luckily, we're having rent forgiveness and mortgage forgiveness, but that's a temporary thing. And as people try to recover from the economic effects of COVID-19, there's probably going to be even more people who are needing a soft place to land.
That's one of my main talking points regarding COVID is that the situation was already very, as far as I'm concerned, unacceptable in St. Lucie County as far as the number of homeless children that are in St. Lucie County. But then with the advent of COVID, just like you said, I mean, it's wonderful that you can't evict, and it's wonderful that mortgage can be held off, and the utility companies are trying to work with individuals.
But at some point,
Yeah, it's still going to be waiting for them when they get there. And there's been a job loss or decrease in pay, so many things. So in the reality, some families live so paycheck by paycheck that an unexpected set of new tires can set the snowball rolling downhill, and they could still end up homeless 6 to 8 months down. So what's COVID going to do? It's going to be so much more. And so to me, possibly, I can't help but hope that this is going to actually escalate the process.
And have people see the need will be so great that it's not something that you could put aside.
Right. Now, the setup for it is everyone's going to come in for a minimum of 30 days. Not that we'll make them stay there if they decide to leave, but that's how we're going to be looking at it. And they're coming in as an emergency situation, more of a rapid rehousing opportunity. So for the first 3 months, we'll assess them. And there's going to be some who really, they do have it together. It's just that the cost of living is higher than where their income is. And so they go paycheck by paycheck. They just need a safe place while they regather, and then they can resettle somewhere. That's great. Those are the easiest ones. They already have good habits and strong
jobs,
work ethic and jobs and degrees,
or
high school diploma, that type of thing. Those are the easy ones. But in that 3 months, the caseworker is going to be assessing all of them, and some are going to need more time. And so from that point, that's when they really move into more of a transitional part of the program, where they can stay up to another 15 months if need be to get the high school diploma, to get a certification from IRSC that will provide them with an income. There's lots of family healing that will need to take place as well, just because of dynamics. It's been hard, right? So they'll have those opportunities as well. So we're going to touch both bases with that.
So where are you in the planning stages of that? Now, I know you had just entered the capital campaign.
That's right.
But have you thought about location? Have you thought about how big you're going to start with as far as how many families you'd be able to house?
Great questions. We are in the final stages of purchasing the current property that we're on. It's owned by Indian River Presbyterian Church, and I'm pretty confident that by the end of May, it'll be a done deal. So we're very excited about that.
Wow, that is so exciting.
Yes,
Yeah.
they're excited too. I mean, this has been really a very long work in progress. And sometimes slow and steady is the best way of doing it anyway. And so we're very excited about that. And then moving forward, we have our lead donor, and it's a matching $250,000 gift. So we're thankful for that lead donor coming in, which is really allowing us to move forward with this purchase as it is.
So a matching $250,000 gift. So that means that you need another $250,000 of raising the funds in order to access that money.
Yes, but he is stepping forward as well, and with the down payment for the property.
So, okay. So
it's
you'll be able to move ahead with purchasing the property.
We will, yes.
In
It's
May.
been, we're
Wow.
excited. We're very
Yeah.
excited on that. And there's no better entity to purchase from, in all honesty, than the entity that started Graceway Village. I mean, it just goes full circle. And it's exactly
that's how
as it
I
should be.
first got started with Graceway Village too, is because Indian River Presbyterian was my church, was my
Really?
family's church. And when they purchased that other location, it certainly wasn't being used to its full extent. And I was so excited about the plans for Graceway and how they've come and gone into detail, and the Matthews Cafe and Hope's Closet, and now your plan to move ahead with transitional housing, Bob.
That's easier to say than family restorative living facility, isn't it?
We're going to figure out a nickname
I
for
bet
it.
you will.
Yeah. But it's an awesome location. The
It's a great
location just couldn't be better. Everybody knows where it is. It's kind of down the street from everything.
Close to the college, which would be so helpful for our clients.
Yes.
Very much so. So when we start, we'll start with the living center itself is aimed to house 20 families, 20 family units in it. We're going to break that into different phases, though. The first phase would be 12 family units. And we won't need to do a kitchen or a cafeteria yet or anything because we already have Matthew's Cafe.
Right.
So
right.
once we have the funding to do that first phase, then we'll be able to start right away with 12 families. And that'll be exciting. And then we'll add on another wing and just keep going. So it'll be 20. And then we have plans of 8 cottages on the property, too. I know. 8 cottages on the property as
So
well.
they'll be completely separate units that they'll be able to have their distance and their privacy.
That'll be kind of
so they can grow as a
graduated to,
family. Yes.
more senior
yeah.
families. Mhm.
Yeah, that's awesome. And do you have other organizations and businesses that you're already partnering with, like builders and architects and so forth?
Yes. The architect is, can't tell you, remember the name. It was already all done prior to my coming on. And we've talked with them once, like 2 years ago. And we certainly plan on.
So you already have the plans.
We already have the plans.
Yeah.
I mean, the prior to my coming on, they'd already gone through all this, and they had the site plans and the permitting, and everything was a go. And then 2008 hit, and Harbor, it was the bank problems.
Uh-huh.
And so they just kind of had to cancel it. And so we were able to revive it, which we're really excited. And yes, we do have some builders and whatnot, but not at a point where I can name names yet.
Okay.
But
But you'll come back and you'll talk
I
about
will,
them later.
absolutely.
Because when organizations and businesses in the community step forward and work to, help us put together, and I say us because it's for the community. It's
Absolutely.
something that everybody, it's going to make a difference for everybody. You might be listening to this and saying, oh, it's not going to make any difference to me because I have a house or I have an apartment, but it absolutely does, because it makes a difference to the economy. It makes a difference to whatever business that you're in. You are helping to create a better living situation for the community in general.
Absolutely. You take individuals who are unable to support themselves, you get them into a place where they can support themselves. They're investing back into the economy. They are working. They're earning a salary. They're paying tax dollars. They're raising their family with a lot less stress, and so it's happier. I mean, there's such a domino effect, and these children are in school with our children and grandchildren, and they deserve as much of a chance.
It's do.
Absolutely unacceptable that we have anywhere from 300 to 500 children living in cars and campgrounds at any particular time in St. Lucie County.
And you just don't know that one of these kids isn't going to grow up to be the next president of the community of the state college or of the United States.
That's
You just don't know, because every child, every family member, and even if they're a young family who's just getting started, maybe that wasn't where the plans were, that they weren't going to, they were going to do other things before they had kids and had a family. But life has a way of,
It does.
making their own plans while you're still coming up with what you're going to do. So things change every day, and to give people second chances at their real life is so earth-shaking. It's just, it makes a difference at such a high level, and I hope that we'll be able to gather around and get the, May is, you're purchasing the property, your timeline is you're running the capital campaign, and then you're going to be able to start building. I hate to ask, because certainly nobody planned on this
Right.
this hiccup of 3 months of COVID-19, and then probably another 3 months at least of economic
Oh my goodness, that's very ambitious.
Well,
I believe, and I appreciate your hope, but you're going to be volunteering, and you're going to see the families come before you and the individuals come before you.
and
I
we're
think
going to
you'll
know
adjust
it's
it a
more
little
that,
bit more.
yes,
I
okay.
mean, we're going to continue these meals 5 days a week until we start to see that individuals aren't needing it that much, because that means economics are doing better, jobs
Right.
are, but it's going to be several months past when the stay at home is lifted, I'm sure.
So,
And if we need to do it 7 nights a week, we'll do 7 nights a week, because that's our first priority, getting food into these people.
just a reminder that we're talking about Matthew's Kitchen, which is now Matthew's Cafe, which is now Matthew's Drive-Through Cafe and Delivery Cafe. And every night, other than Mondays and Wednesdays, you're supplying meals at the Hartman Road location, and then also take them to different other locations. And Cathie, I love the fact that you just adjust on your feet. You just, people come up with a problem, and instead of you looking at it as a problem, you look at it as an opportunity. And I love the way that people come together, and that's a talent, I think, that people have, and it should be nourished to get to the point where you take something that could be as completely negative, could just be life changing in a negative way, and then turn it into something that is life changing in a positive way. And Graceway Village has done that.
They have.
And they've been doing that for 11 years. And, I love to see the fact that you're making a difference for so many different people, and you're going to continue. And I'm really excited about Bob. No, we'll rename it. Bob.
I know.
The transitional housing. Say it again. It's
Family Restorative Living Facility.
Family Restorative Living Facility.
Yeah.
So, and that the chances are that there might be something operational in the next year. Is that too?
As much as I try to say optimistic
Yes.
and not be an Eeyore
Yeah,
ever,
yeah.
I think that now I will say our God can do anything.
Yes. So
I would
so
say
possibly,
more
but
of 2 to 3 years.
2 to
when
3
you look at all the
years.
realities of building anything and how long it can take.
But meanwhile, it's not
Yes.
like Graceway Village is sitting on their hands
Absolutely
and just waiting for the checks to be written and the building to begin, because you do have both Matthew's Cafe and Hope's Closet where you're supplying help to people as they need. And we haven't spent a whole lot of time talking about the volunteers that you need, but you need volunteers in a lot of. You did before COVID, and now you do even more so now, even though, as you said, there's some volunteers that you just, it wouldn't be safe to send them
Right.
in situations. But for the most part, if you're healthy and Graceway has all the precautions in place, and they have face masks and gloves, and everything is prepared in a sanitary manner. So it's something that you're looking. If someone wants to volunteer, how do they reach you?
They could call us at 925-3074 and leave a message that they're very interested in volunteering for the food program, Matthew's Cafe, or they can also communicate with us either on Facebook, Graceway Village, or on our website, which is gracewayvillage.com.
Are you, and we talked about Hope's Closet, because Hope's Closet is still operational. It's just not serving as a boutique. It's more you're supplying the clothing through the social workers. Mm-hmm. Are you still accepting clothing donations, or are you on hold with that?
We are accepting them. They drop them off. We're going to deal with it. So we're always looking for volunteers who want to come, and we just have them work one at a time in the sorting room or a family unit, because they're all together, and they can sort. And the clothes we normally would send out, we're keeping on a back porch in a big black bag because they're not most places are not taking anything.
Yeah.
We don't want to ruin the flow. We don't want to stop the flow.
Right.
You can really lose some people that way. And again, we are still giving some clothes out. So we have a volunteer who come in and she'll restock the racks periodically and stuff because it needs to be, since we are still providing emergency clothing.
So if you know a family that's in need, how do we put them in touch with as far as clothing? It's through their social worker. And I know when schools are in session, you also do it with the guidance counselors.
You do not have to anymore. They can just come
Okay.
in, and then they'll be basically all the registration will be done right there. They don't have.
Okay.
They used to have to go somewhere else to get a voucher, but they
But
don't.
they
need to.
don't anymore. Okay. And, if you're curious about Graceway Village and you want to
Yes.
find out more information, you can look. They have a Facebook page
We do.
with a lot of great information on our website, and that is
GracewayVillage.com.
gracewayvillage.com. So that's easy to find. And you can also reach out. There's different ways to reach the team there at Graceway Village either through email or by phone.
That's right.
And that information is there. Cathie Mouring, she is my guest, and you have been the executive director since 2008, 2007?
No, we opened in 2009. So
Oh, okay.
I'm headed on my 7th year now, which is amazing to me. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, and it takes, somebody with a positive attitude to be able to figure out how to make things work and make a difference in the community. And we were talking earlier about the need of what people need to have the roof over their head and how important that is, and clothing on their body, and to feel good about themselves.
That's right.
too. So and that's one thing that they get at Hope's Closet, and then a full tummy. There's nothing better than having good food, and also getting that good food in a respectful way where you're not embarrassed about coming to get the food. And, that's one thing, having been in Graceway Village's kitchen and seeing
right,
the
you've
people that
worked
come
it.
in, everybody's just there just to make a difference and to be a part. And the people that come in, they feel welcome. So anyhow, Cathie, thank you for being my guest today.
Oh, it's been such fun. Thank you.
And we'll talk some more as we move forward with the transitional housing. Thanks for joining me today. You've been listening to the Sue Ellen Sanders Show. I'm here every weekend with more.
And archives of this show are on YouTube, including this one. I have to do a little editing, but we'll have it. For more information, go to www.gracewayvillage.com and listen for the Sue Ellen Sanders Show weekends right here.